It started as a tractor, and somehow ended up as one of the most feared predators ever built by human hands. One minute, it's crawling through mud like a farm machine, and the next, it's hunting enemy armor like it was born for it. Today, we're tracking the full, brutal evolution of American tanks. Every era, every leap forward, every weird mistake that somehow led to the next monster. And trust me, some of these designs look like they were invented in a garage at 3 a.m., but they still shaped modern warfare. So stay with me, because by the end of this timeline, you'll see how the U.S. went from steel boxes on tracks to rolling fortresses packed with sensors, computers, and firepower that feels unreal. This is the story of U.S. tanks. World War I beginnings started with something that barely even looked like a weapon. The early interwar CLB-75 was basically a tractor wearing a steel box like armor plating. It didn't scream battlefield dominance. It screamed moving storage container with an attitude. But it mattered because it proved the idea could exist at all. Halt Gas Electric was America's first serious attempt at building a tank, and it was honestly way ahead of its time. A gas-electric hybrid? In that era? That's the kind of concept that sounds futuristic even today. But the problem was simple. It was heavy, awkward, and the mud of the Great War didn't care how clever your engineering was. It sank, struggled, and couldn't survive the reality of trench warfare. The skeleton tank looked like a tank that forgot to finish loading in. This bizarre machine was mostly empty space, just a huge iron pipe frame meant to glide over wide trenches without bogging down. On paper, it was genius. Less weight, better trench crossing, fewer stuck vehicles. In real life, though, it was a weird gamble in an era that demanded reliability more than creativity. Ford 3-ton M1918 was basically the Model T of tanks, small, cheap, and meant to be built in swarms. The plan was simple: overwhelm the enemy with numbers, flood the battlefield with fast little machines. But history had other plans. The war ended before America could mass-produce them the way they wanted. M1917 Light tank series was essentially America borrowing the French Renault FT and making it its own. It wasn't glamorous, but it was dependable. This tank became the backbone of early American armor, sticking around for years after the guns of World War I went quiet. It was one of those machines that didn't need to be legendary, it just needed to work. Mark 8 Liberty was a massive joint effort between Britain and America, and it looked like something built to crush trenches through sheer intimidation. This thing was long enough to span wide gaps like they weren't even there. But size comes with a price. Transporting it, maintaining it, moving it anywhere at all became a logistical nightmare. A battlefield beast chained down by reality. A 1921 medium tank marked a turning point. Instead of tiny experimental boxes, the U.S. began aiming for something closer to a real fighting vehicle. Most importantly, it featured a fully rotating turret, something that would become the blueprint for almost every tank that followed. That one decision shaped the future. A 1922 medium tank tried to push comfort and mobility with a complicated cable suspension system. The goal was a smoother ride and better performance over rough ground. But what they really built was a maintenance headache. One of those designs that makes mechanics stare at it like, you want us to fix what in the middle of nowhere? T1 Light Tank Series was the 1920s version of let's experiment and see what happens. These prototypes tested new layouts, new speed concepts, new handling ideas. Some were surprisingly fast for their time, but speed means nothing if your armor can't survive a real fight. They were quick, but fragile. T1 Christie M1919 came from Walter Christie, one of the most legendary and stubborn tank designers ever. His concept was wild, a convertible tank that could run on tracks or wheels. On roads, it was ridiculously fast, but to the military, it was too strange, too unconventional, too risky. Sometimes the future shows up early and gets rejected for being too weird. T2 medium tank was a heavy, boxy brute trying to cram a big cannon and multiple machine guns into one body. It wanted to be powerful. It wanted to be intimidating. But it was simply too heavy and underpowered, like a strong-looking fighter who runs out of breath after one punch. The Interwar M1931 Christie was Christie's masterpiece, and this one truly changed the game. Its suspension system was revolutionary, letting it tear across rough terrain at speeds that sounded impossible in the early 1930s. It didn't just drive over uneven ground, it practically flew. That suspension concept would echo across tank design worldwide. M1 light tank series came with a weird legal workaround. Because of rules and restrictions, the cavalry called them combat cars instead of tanks. Same idea, different label. These machines were fast and lightly armored, built mainly for scouting and quick maneuvers, not slugging it out in heavy combat. M2 light tank series became the direct ancestor of the famous Stuart. Early versions were chaotic, with multiple turrets like a little land battleship. But over time, the design settled into a cleaner, more reliable layout. The kind of evolution that shows engineers slowly learning what actually matters under pressure. T4 medium tank tried to borrow Christie-style suspension to create a fast medium tank. On roads, it could move with real speed. But the second the ground turned into thick mud, it threw a tantrum like a sports car trying to race through a swamp. T7 Combat CAR pushed extreme speed using wheels, and on flat ground, it was lightning fast. But tanks don't get to choose their terrain. Without versatility, it couldn't survive as a true frontline machine. Fast isn't enough when the battlefield refuses to be convenient. M2 medium tank series looked like a machine gun porcupine, guns pointing in every direction like it was afraid of getting surprised. It wasn't the greatest fighter, but it taught American designers something critical: what a medium tank should be and what it absolutely should not be. Marmon Harrington CDLS series were tiny light tanks built mainly for export. They weren't strong, they weren't terrifying, but they were cheap, simple, and easy to maintain, exactly what mattered during the chaotic early war years when quantity and speed of production could mean survival. World War II arrives, and suddenly everything changes. Design stopped being interesting and start being urgent. The battlefield demanded tanks that could actually fight, survive, and keep moving. M3 Stuart series became famous for speed and reliability. British crews loved it so much they nicknamed it Honey, because compared to some other tanks, it was smooth and sweet to operate. It was a scouting legend through World War II, quick enough to get in, spot trouble, and get out before things turned deadly. MTLS 1G14 was one of the strangest ideas of the era. Two main cannons inside a single turret. It was originally built for the Dutch, but it mostly ended up as an oddball trainer in American hands. Not a battlefield icon, more like a what were we thinking experiment that still got built anyway. CTMS light tank was another export-focused design that saw limited use. It tried to pack serious punch into a three-man light tank, but it never really found a comfortable home in the U.S. arsenal. It existed, but it never truly belonged. M3 Lee/Grant series was a tall, awkward emergency solution, and it looked like it. The big gun wasn't even in the turret. It was stuck in the hull like someone bolted a cannon onto the front and said, "Good enough." And honestly, in that moment, it was good enough. It delivered firepower when the Allies desperately needed it. M4 Sherman series became the legendary backbone of Allied victory. It wasn't the heaviest. It wasn't the scariest. But it won wars through reliability, repairability, and production numbers so massive they felt endless. A tank that could be built fast, fixed fast, and fielded everywhere is a tank that changes history. That M6 Heavy Tank Series was America's first true attempt at a heavy tank. It was massive, heavily armed, and built to intimidate. But there was one problem nobody could ignore. It was simply too heavy for many bridges and infrastructure. You could be the strongest tank alive and still lose to a river crossing. T7 Light/M7 Medium series started as a light tank and then basically ate too much and became a medium. It gained weight, complexity, and lost its purpose. And since it couldn't outperform the Sherman, the project was canceled. A harsh lesson. If you can't beat the standard, you don't survive. T20/T22/T23 medium series were experimental Sherman replacements, built with lower profiles and advanced transmissions. These weren't just random prototypes. They were stepping stones, quietly paving the road toward the next generation of American armor. M5 Stuart series upgraded early light tank designs with twin Cadillac engines. It was fast, smooth, and stayed useful even when heavier tanks started dominating the battlefield. Sometimes speed and reliability keep you relevant longer than raw power. M22 Locust was tiny, light, and could be carried in a glider, designed to support airborne troops. It sounds heroic until you remember the armor was basically paper thin. Once it hit the ground, it could be knocked out frighteningly easily. It was brave by design and vulnerable by reality. T-14 heavy tank was a joint British-American attempt to build a heavily armored assault tank. Only a few prototypes were made before everyone realized the truth. Mobility was becoming just as important as protection. A tank that can't move becomes a target. M24 Chaffee was a massive leap forward for light tanks. With a solid 75mm gun and a smooth suspension system, it wasn't just a scout, it could fight. It became one of those rare light tanks that could actually punch above its weight. M26 Pershing series finally brought a heavy hitter into the American lineup, something that could stand up to German Tigers and not feel outmatched. It arrived late, but it proved the U.S. could build a modern tank that hit hard and survived hard. T-26E4 Super Pershing took that idea even further, mounting an oversized gun with serious power. But extreme firepower brings extreme problems, balance issues, weight issues, mechanical strain. It was a monster, but even monsters have limits. T-28/T95 Super Heavy Tank wasn't really a tank so much as a moving fortress. Slow, brutal, unstoppable in theory. It needed 4 tracks just to support its insane weight. This was the kind of vehicle built for smashing fortified defenses, assuming it could ever reach them in time. T-29 Heavy Tank series was designed with one goal in mind: hunting king tigers. Massive turret, intimidating presence, pure post-war muscle. It never saw combat, but its DNA lived on, influencing later Cold War designs. T-30 Heavy Tank pushed demolition power to an absurd level, carrying a massive 155mm gun meant to obliterate bunkers and hardened targets. This wasn't about tank duels, it was about turning enemy fortifications into rubble. T-32 Heavy Tank series was basically a Pershing on steroids. Similar components, but thicker armor and a more powerful long-range cannon. It was built for sniping, for standing back, and punching holes through enemy steel from far away. T-34 Heavy Tank became the final evolution of post-war heavy tanks, featuring a converted anti-aircraft gun with incredible armor-piercing power for its time. It was the last roar of the heavy tank era before the world shifted again. Early Cold War and Korea forced American tanks to evolve fast. New threats, new doctrines, and the terrifying reality that the next war could be bigger, colder, and even more unforgiving. M46 Patton series was the first tank named after General Patton. It was essentially an improved Pershing with a much better engine, finally fixing one of the biggest weaknesses of earlier designs. It served as a main battle tank in Korea, proving itself in harsh conditions where reliability mattered every single day. T-41 Light Tank was an experimental scout that eventually evolved into the Walker Bulldog. The idea was speed, agility, and lightweight, something that could move fast and even be dropped into combat zones when needed. M41 Walker Bulldog series became a beloved light tank worldwide. Crews liked it because it was agile, had a punchy gun, and was easy to drive compared to clunkier machines. It didn't just serve America, it served across the globe, leaving a serious legacy. T-42 Medium Tank was designed to replace older medium tanks. The hull wasn't amazing, but the turret was so good that it basically got borrowed for the next tank. That turret became the foundation for the M47, proving that sometimes the best part of a tank isn't the whole tank. It's one brilliant component. M47 Patton series was a rushed Cold War hybrid, almost a Frankenstein build, combining a new turret with an older hull to get tanks into production fast. It wasn't perfect, but it was fast to field, and in that era, speed of deployment could be the difference between deterrence and disaster. M48 Patton series became an icon of the Vietnam era. This was a true new design with a rounded turtle hull and turret that improved protection and survivability. It looked modern, felt modern, and fought like a tank built for a new generation of war. T-54 Medium series tried stuffing a massive gun into a medium chassis using an oscillating turret to maximize firepower without making the tank enormous. It was ambitious, trying to cheat the laws of size and weight with clever engineering. T-69 medium tank continued the oscillating turret experiment and added an auto-loader, part of the push toward automation and smaller crews. It was a glimpse into a future where tanks might fight faster than humans could reload. But complexity always comes with risk. T-92 light tank looked like it came straight out of sci-fi. Low profile, sleek, designed for parachute deployment. But it was canceled because the military leaned toward more versatile, more practical designs. The future got shelved because the present needed something dependable. T-95 medium tank series became a high-tech playground for smoothbore guns, composite armor concepts, and advanced ideas that would later influence the Abrams. It wasn't just a tank project, it was a laboratory for the future. M1 heavy tank series was the last American heavy tank. A giant built to snipe Soviet armor at long range with a massive 120mm cannon. It was the final heavyweight champion before the era of main battle tanks fully took over. T-57 heavy tank experimented with a strange oscillating turret designed for rapid-firing heavy shells. The idea was terrifying on paper. Heavy rounds launched fast. But the technology was too complex, too unreliable, and too difficult to maintain. T-58 heavy tank pushed that concept even further with an even bigger 155mm gun in an oscillating turret. It was a true heavyweight monster, but again, too extreme, too impractical, too complicated for real-world service. T-110 heavy tank series was a set of design studies trying to squeeze heavy tank firepower into a smaller package, small enough to fit through tunnels and tighter terrain. It was an engineering challenge that felt claustrophobic just thinking about it. Late Cold War in Vietnam brought the rise of the true workhorses. Tanks designed not just to exist, but to adapt, upgrade, and keep fighting for decades. M60 Patton series became the Cold War workhorse and the first true U.S. main battle tank. It served for decades, upgraded again and again, proving that a solid design can live multiple lifetimes with the right improvements. M551 Sheridan series was a light, airdroppable tank made of aluminum to save weight, basically a soda can with a gun. It fired shells and missiles, which sounded insane, because it kind of was. It was bold, fragile, and controversial, but it filled a niche no other vehicle could. MBD-70 project was straight-up sci-fi, a joint U.S.-German tank packed with futuristic tech and ambitious features, but became too expensive and too complex. The dream tank turned into a budget nightmare, and reality pulled the plug. XM803 was the cheaper version of the MBT-70 idea, trying to keep the best features while making it practical for mass production. It was an attempt to rescue the future from its own price tag. M60A2 Starship earned its nickname because it looked futuristic and carried a massive 152mm gun launcher that could fire shells and missiles. It sounded like the next step in evolution, but the system was unreliable in the field. The Starship looked advanced, but it couldn't consistently deliver when it mattered. The M1 Abrams ERA is where American armor truly transforms into something terrifying. Not just a tank, but a modern predator built for speed, survival, and domination. M1 Abrams series redefined the battlefield. A jet turbine engine gave it insane mobility, and its armor made it shockingly hard to kill. It wasn't just an upgrade. It was a new standard, like watching the tank world jump forward a full generation overnight. RDF/LT light tank was built for rapid deployment, designed to travel by air and strike fast. It carried a high-velocity gun and kept a small profile to stay hidden while scouting. The concept was speed, surprise, and flexibility. PMAG Experiment wasn't really a frontline tank. It was more like a science lab on wheels. It tested high-mobility concepts and advanced suspension ideas, helping engineers explore what might be possible later. Marine Expeditionary Tank focused on being light enough for quick transport, built for fast deployment and amphibious needs. With a ghost turret concept and serious firepower, it aimed to give Marines armored support without dragging a heavy tank across the planet. Stingray Light Tank Series was a private venture that actually found export success. It delivered main battle tank-style firepower on a lighter, sportier chassis, like a fast striker compared to the heavyweight brawlers. M1 Abrams series was the upgrade that gave the Abrams its legendary 120mm smoothbore gun. This is the version that became a Gulf War icon, famous for crushing enemy armor with terrifying efficiency and proving that modern American tanks weren't just strong, they were dominant. Modern and current designs push the Abrams into the digital age and beyond, because now the battlefield isn't just about armor and shells. It's about sensors, drones, thermal vision, and information. M1 Abrams series brought the Abrams into the era of networked warfare. Advanced sensors, thermal sights, improved targeting systems, and better battlefield communication turned it into something closer to a moving command center with a cannon. M8 armor gun system was intended to replace the Sheridan, featuring modular armor you could bolt on depending on the mission. It was a smart idea, flexible and practical, but it got crushed by post-Cold War budget cuts before it could truly shine. LAV 105 concept tried strapping a powerful tank gun onto a wheeled vehicle. The goal was speed and mobility, fast firepower that could deploy quickly, but it never moved past the prototype stage, proving again that good ideas don't always survive reality. Abrams TB experimented with crew safety by placing the crew deep inside the hull. The turret was unmanned and remotely operated, almost like controlling a tank the way you'd play a video game. It was a glimpse of the future. Fewer exposed crew, more automation, more survivability. M1 Cat Testbed was a massive technology platform built to experiment with future upgrades. One of the wildest features was a gigantic 140mm gun, designed to stay ahead of evolving threats and future enemy armor. XM202 mounted combat system was part of the future combat system's vision. Lightweight, highly advanced, deployable anywhere. The idea was smart armor that could move fast, hit hard, and operate with modern tech. But like many future war projects, ambition ran into complexity. Griffin II became a modern light tank concept blending Abrams-style power with a lighter chassis. It helped form the foundation for mobile protected firepower, aiming to give infantry serious armored support without needing a full-sized main battle tank. M10 Booker series is the newest addition to the U.S. arsenal, designed to provide heavy direct fire support for infantry. For decades, there was a mobility gap. This tank finally fills it, bringing firepower where troops need it most. And if you're enjoying this timeline so far, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and comment which era surprised you the most, because the final machines get even crazier. Abrams X looks like a sci-fi demonstrator, featuring a hybrid electric engine and an unmanned turret. It's lighter, more fuel-efficient, and built around the idea that future tanks must survive not just shells, but drones, missiles, and non-stop surveillance. M1 Abrams series is the next major leap, focusing on shedding weight while improving survivability against modern threats. Because in today's wars, the danger isn't always a tank on the horizon. Sometimes it's a drone you never even hear coming. And that's the evolution. From tractor-like steel boxes crawling through mud to high-tech predators built for a battlefield that never stops changing. Now you tell me, which of these tanks did you find the most dangerous?